Now I'm delighted to be joined on the telephone by Barry Ryan, and Barry is going to talk to us about Gamble Aware in colleges. A very good morning to you, Barry.
Good morning. Thanks very much for having me on.
Delighted to talk to you this morning. So, Barry, you're involved with Gamble Aware, is that it? And well, you're going to fill us in on all that this morning. Okay.
That's correct. I'm actually a master's student in the university in Limerick, and a couple of weeks ago, myself and a couple of colleagues, we were having a discussion about a campaign that we were running to try and make students initially more aware of the dangers of gambling. It's quite obvious, when you see someone who has a problem maybe with alcohol or maybe with drugs, it's very much in the public eye. We found that gambling isn't. It's not something that you can see. It's not something that's readily available, that is openly a problem. And we also found that because it's not such an open problem, that there's not a lot of help out there for people who have a problem with it. So we decided to run the campaign specifically aimed at students at a younger age, to try and make people more aware that the problem is there, it exists, and that it's quite a serious one.
And I'd imagine that online gambling is a particularly serious problem, is it? I mean, people, on the outside wouldn't be aware of people gambling on the internet and that sort of thing. And while they have credit cards at their disposal, they can gamble away until everything is gone.
The online side of it has actually made things an awful lot worse. Is our own opinion. It's kind of what we found. I'll give you a couple of stats if I can.
Sure, yes.
Just particularly in relation to Ireland and gambling. It's estimated that there's over 5 billion a year spent in Ireland on gambling. 5 billion a year. Yeah, which is 14 million a day, or 10,000 a minute. And as you said, the online gambling, particularly with tech-savvy younger people, it gives them access. It allows them to keep it private, and it's also estimated that adolescent gambling is 2 to 3 times the rate of adult gambling at the moment. So,
adolescent gambling.
Yes.
Yes.
So the online is the online explosion, I suppose, has added to the problem, and particularly then, as I said at the start, it's something that it's behind closed doors. People don't know about it. So what we did in the university was we've set up a campaign. It's been running for the last couple of weeks. We've contacted Gamble Aware, who are the help board, I suppose, in Ireland. They've been great. They've given us a lot of support. We've set up a Facebook page. We've set up a Twitter page, and we've tried to get into students' faces, I suppose, is probably the best way to put it. We've been handing out leaflets. We've things like that, like just to as I said, to make people aware that it's there, that it does exist, even if you can't see it.
Yes.
We've got a pretty good response. One of the things that we ran with was that if it wasn't you who had a problem, you might know somebody. Again, tying in with the fact that it's not something that's openly in your face. Someone we kind of felt somebody always may or may not know somebody who had that problem, and even if it was only one person, we felt it was it was worth it was worth trying to get the message out there. And as I said, Gamble Aware themselves have been great. They've supported us, and all that we have posters, we have leaflets, we have T-shirts. We have their details. If it's okay with you, I'd like to give you their number, just in case there's anybody listening this morning who might feel the same. It's 1-800-753-753, and that's, as I said, that's Gamble Aware. GambleAware.ie is also their website, and they provide a great service there as well. And as I said, they've been great support to ourselves in our own campaign also.
And how did you become aware of all this gambling yourself in college? Did you notice fellow students were in difficulties financially and getting into difficulties, or how did you become conscious of the?
I suppose when we sat down to talk about it, one of the initial things that we spoke about was, every conversation when you're sitting down talking for ourselves anyway always begins with sport.
Yes.
And, from sport it always leads on to who do you think is going to win tonight or tomorrow night, or the hurling at the weekend or whatever, and then invariably it leads to, did you put a bet on, or is this horse favourite to win this race, or did you back anybody at the weekend, and things like that. And it was just so prevalent in our everyday conversation. Eventually we just realised that it was almost as important as the conversation about sports, and that's kind of where it came from. Based on that as well, one of the things because it's so underground, we'll say, one of the things that we feel, we don't have any proof or any stats because it's so hard to measure, is that it's predominantly a male problem as well.
Yes.
Relating back to the sports, I almost feel that I don't know. It's hard to measure these things because it's such a private thing. But we feel like it's almost 100% male. We don't know any. I don't know any females who talk about betting in the same way or with the same regularity. I don't know any females who have gambling accounts or who go to the bookies on a regular basis. Whereas, unfortunately, I can't say the same about my male friends.
Yes.
And it's not just me. When we started this, we wanted to see maybe it was just me. But as we spoke to people and as we gathered more information, it became quite clear that it was predominantly, if not entirely, a male issue.
Yes. And I suppose there's a certain element of an adrenaline rush with gambling as well, and it's just a thrill, I suppose, of wondering, will your gamble pay off and stuff like that. That there's a sort of it becomes an addiction, really, doesn't it?
It does, and from that perspective, students, we feel, are particularly vulnerable as well because, students don't have a lot of money, and there's a lot of pressure in terms of exams and things like that, and you always want to go out, whether it's a Thursday night or a weekend, and it can start off as I'll put my €5 on Man United to win tonight, and then before you know it, you're not trying to have get some extra money for whatever it is you want to spend it on. You're trying to get back money, and it can snowball very, very quickly.
Very quickly, indeed. Yes.
As I said to you, we set up our Facebook page. We also set up our Twitter page. If it's okay with you, I'll give you those addresses as well. But on the Facebook page, we put up some stories about of higher profile people like Oisin McConville from the GAA. And Keith Gillespie, also the Northern Ireland soccer player.
Right.
And both of those stories are pretty harrowing. Keith Gillespie estimated he lost.
Right, Barry, we're going to have to leave it there because we're out of time. But I'll give out those numbers again later on in the programme. But thanks for joining us this morning.